recommendations for kids who are into science or for
Excellent. I love kids' books about science. I think this creator is doing great work in science communication. So I just want to stitch and add a couple of my favorite kids' science books that first came to hand. I got 2 Darwins, and the last one is a fantastic Curie, just a perfect piece of art. And I also have 1 spiritual side quest in case your kids might be into that. So the book on evolution I would recommend is this On the Origin of Species by Sabina Radeva, and it is just how she explains how evolution works using different pictures. It's really a fantastic piece of work. It is the best single thing I've seen to explain to a young person what Origin of Species is and the technical terms around evolution. It's also beautifully drawn. For a little bit for your older kids, the Sapiens graphic novel, this is actually number 2. I don't know where number 1 is. It's a big piece of work, but she was 6 at the time. My 6-year-old got this, and it's, the history of the species, and by volume 2 it gets into our great superpower, which, spoiler alert, it's cooperation and language and being able to talk more. And so it even goes into definitions like, what is a corporation? What is McDonald's? And it's really a fascinating question. And so this was a great history. I don't always agree with his conclusions, actually. I can see why he is getting some pushback in the popular press, but these graphic novels are a great explainer for kids about early human evolution. The other Darwin book, because he's close to my heart, I've read a lot of Darwin. I think he's a beautiful soul. This is The Tree of Life, and it's by Peter Seiss, and he is a award-winning maker of children's books. Pretty much anything he's ever done is worth getting, and I had a big tear, and we read through a lot of them. This is his Darwin one. It's a little bit thicker. It is probably for older kids. There's a lot of text on the page sometimes, but it's also beautifully well done, and he is just a master explainer and a master of illustration. And so, speaking of Peter Seiss, my side quest would be, he also did a version of The Conference of the Birds. And so if you don't know this, The Conference of the Birds is a poem by the Sufi poet Attar from the mystical branch of Islam, and many, including myself, would call it one of the most important pieces of wisdom literature ever produced by the human race. I read it 20 years ago, and it's never left me. I keep reading different versions of it. And so this is Peter Seiss's version for little kids, and it's about these different birds all going to look for God. And it is really, it gets as depthful as you're going to get for little kids, and it is beautifully well done. So if you want your kids to have a great take on one of the most important pieces of wisdom literature, Seiss's A Conference of the Birds. And finally, for all the young female scientists out there, I'm always looking for these kind of books. Young female scientists, young female artists, like Wanda Gog, for instance, and the story of her life. This is one on Marie Curie and her daughters. This is by Imogen and Isabel Greenberg. And again, this one is a little bit thicker. This isn't for a 4-year-old, but it's a story of Marie Curie, the first person to win 2 Nobel Prizes in 2 different categories, and fighting against poverty and the misogyny of the day and everything she went on to accomplish. So if you want to inspire your young kid, this Curie book is absolutely one of the best kid science books I've ever seen. So there's some of the tops that I found, and if you have any others you'd like to recommend, I would love to hear it. Oh, and on media, they mentioned the Ada Twist Scientist. That's also a series on Netflix, sponsored by produced by the Obamas, and it's an excellent piece of work for explaining science to kids. So I would definitely recommend that as well. I also have a giant animation collection, so there's a lot of science education stuff in there. That could be a separate video someday. So for now, Kids for Science.